We are live. This is YSM Sports Media. I'm Jamil Parker, your host. Um, we have to cook today. We definitely have to cook today. I'm extremely frustrated with the state of boxing, and this just needs to be said. Terence Crawford, Errol Spence, their fan base, it's destroying boxing. I know people are going to give me shit for it, but that's just what it is right now. It is effectively destroying boxing. Give me 1 second. I'm going to tell you why. Y'all remember that? Hey, Mark Mazuma, what's good? What's good with you, kid? All right, so let's rewind the clock. Let's rewind the clock back. I think it might be 3 or 4 years. All right, so Terence Crawford was entering the division after becoming undisputed, and his eyes were locked on Keith Thurman. Fans, media pundits, were trying to gear him towards Terence Crawford, towards Errol Spence. But logically speaking, Keith Thurman, unified champ, proven draw at the time. I'm gonna go after Keith. Makes sense. So in an interview with I think Stephen A. Smith on First Take, uh, he said as such, and he said, well, Stephen A. said, well, what if Spence becomes the man? And he said, well, if Spence becomes the man, then I want him to. All right, cool. Who is this hopping on? B?
Yo, what up?
Hey, what's up, man? Yo, you got your name on the YSM Sports Media, too.
Nah, I know. I was like, I'm not gonna change it. I was like,
All right. All right. I'm sorry for getting distracted. This is my co-host. This is Brandon, aka I Love Gummies Walker.
yeah.
Yeah. The original BBW Slayer. All right, so Terence Crawford said if Earl Smith becomes the man, I want him to. Fast forward, Keith Thurman goes down with an elbow injury, I think, has elbow surgery out for almost 2 years, forced to vacate the WBC. It goes to vacant with Sean Porter versus Danny Garcia. It goes to a vacant with Sean Porter and Danny Garcia. Sean wins, then ends up fighting Earl. Earl becomes the unified champ. And that's how initially this whole thing started. Who do you want to start with first? Terence Crawford fans or Earl Spence fans?
Um, let's do Errol Spence fans.
Okay. Earl Spence fans. Maybe the biggest hypocrites in boxing. Nah, man, this needs to be said. This needs to be said. Because both sides are initially pissing me off. Because all they do is bicker. It's nothing but pettiness, back and forth. Like there are other fights on. And all they're doing is going back and forth about A side, B side, and who's the bigger draw and who deserves this split. And like the shit is simple. Neither one of those dudes want to hold, neither one of those fan bases want to hold their guy accountable. That's what it all comes down to. They don't want to hold their guy accountable. And essentially, it's ruining boxing. Let me tell you why. Okay, so how old is Devin Haney, B?
23, 24?
23. Devin Haney's been a champion since 22. Shakur Stevenson, I think, is 23 as well, 23 or 24 years old. I'm trying to think who's another young champion. You got Shakur Stevenson. Javante won his first belt at 22 years old. Tito won his first belt, I think, 22, 23 years old. So if you notice at the lower weights, the young guys are winning titles or getting chances to win titles. Why isn't that the case at 147 pounds? It's because of this civil war. It's because of this back and forth. Shakur Stevenson is a two-time champion. Errol Spence, unified champion. Why hasn't Errol Spence moved up? Terence Crawford, great fighter. Just now fighting Sean Porter. Just now. Now you can blame it on whatever you want. I'm going to give a detailed description of where each fighter is wrong and where each fan base needs to shut the fuck up. Shouts out to my boy G5 Jeff. Subscribe to his channel. Great content. What up, Jeff? Aaron Whitehurst. Benavidez 1-2. Yeah, he won a young too. I think he was 22, 23 years old. All right, so you have all these young guys winning belts, but not at 147 pounds. And you got a lot of young talent at 147 pounds. Jaron Ennis, Virgil Ortiz, Conor Benn, Paul Crawl, Stanionis. Well, what's the holdup? The holdup is there's been a lack of unifying at 147 pounds. You know why? Because Terence Crawford was with Top Rank, didn't want to leave. Errol Spence and PBC don't like to do fights on the other side of the street, and Manny Pacquiao was holding up the division because Manny Pacquiao fights whenever Manny Pacquiao wants to fight. And by right, he earned that. But still, so there's that division has been stagnant. Meanwhile, since then, since 2016, 140 has been unified twice. Big?
Yeah. Crawford did it and then Taylor did it.
Yeah. So 140 has been unified twice. 168 has been unified. And 154 is having their second unification bout in a year's time. So essentially, all these other divisions are moving. Guys are moving up. Young guys are getting cracking the titles. But 147 pounds is sitting there stuck. And you got these two fan bases, and all they do is whine and cry. And then you got these media outlets. I'm going to say some names. My homie, Bushido's Boxing. Great channel, great content. Bud fan goes hard. Spence is afraid. Spence is scared. He doesn't want to fight. Then you got my man Kwame and Loyal to the Game and Drico. They have their civil war back and forth. One's a diehard Bud fan, one's a diehard Spence fan. All you hear is splits and all that. And essentially, the media, we have become part of the problem because we will not hold these dudes accountable. Both of them. You leave it up to these media outlets, it's all Spence's fault. It's all Bud's fault. No! Everybody's to blame, including us.
When was the Bud Spence fight first talked about? 2017?
I gave a synopsis when Crawford jumped to the division. He was initially targeting Keith Thurman. And this was right after he stopped Julius Ndondo. And then they said, Errol Spence looked like he's the man. He was like, well, looks can be deceiving. He was like, well, what if Errol Spence becomes the man? He said, well, if Errol Spence becomes the man, then I want him too. That's when it all started. Probably like 3-4 years ago.
But bro, people are still talking about this shit like yesterday and the day before as if this fight's happening next, bro. It's not happening. I'm over that. I'm over Spence Crawford.
Let me get to the comments and then we just gonna cook, man. G5 Jeff and 147 was fighting each other like they do at 122. We would have something. You're right, my man. Mustafa B. I don't speak Spanish. You got me?
That's not Spanish, bro.
Oh, it's not? Oh shit.
I don't
Mustafa,
know what that
I don't
is.
know what that means, but thank you for joining us, bro.
That's not Spanish, bro.
All right, Mar the Machine, he's speaking facts though. Man, it's real shit.
Bro, they're still talking about splits. Motherfuckers are still posting 60-40 and all this shit. I'm like, bro, stop it. Look, at the end of the day, right? Look, let's be honest. PBC, they froze out Bud, right? And then when Bud's contract was going to be up, we had this conversation. I was like, yo, Bud's going to feel some type of way. He's going to have some kind of resentment, and he's not going to go to the PVC. And you told me that he.
Hey, B.
What'd you tell me?
B, let's go in order. I said,
All
let's go in order. All right. I'm going to let you cook, but let's just go in order so everybody knows what transpired. All right. My man Mark says when Crawford beat Horn, yeah, but they started talking Crawford and Spence a little bit before that. But after he
remember, it was Get a Belt. Get a Belt was the beginning that I remember. Go get a belt. Remember?
My man Marty Machine says no, he was targeting all the champions. In actuality, he was more focused on, if you talk about Bud, he was more focused on Thurman. All right, so let's start it off. All right, so he jumps up in weight. Now, he had all 4 belts. He could have targeted any champion to become the mandatory or fighting eliminator to become the mandatory. He chose the WBO because WBO was associated with Top Rank, and it's an easier fight to make, right? And it's an easier fight. At that time, Errol Spence was saying, oh, yeah, all you got to do is get a belt, and it can happen. First hypocritical statement, big, saying he has to get a belt so it can happen. This is the same Errol Spence. This is the same Errol Spence that was in his feelings, the same Errol Spence fan base that was in their feelings because Keith Thurman told him the same thing. Now, Keith Thurman was the unified champion at the time. Errol Spence was, I think, like a 16-0 prospect. No. Keith Thurman was the WBA regular, right? This is before Floyd. This is before Floyd vacated or they made Keith the super. So Spence was a prospect at 16-0, haven't really fought anybody. Upset, snapping, keeps the dub. That's all you heard, right, B?
Oh, yeah.
Fast forward a couple years, Errol Spence tells the undisputed champion in 140 pounds that he has to get a belt. I want y'all to think about that. That's like Sergey Kovalev telling Andre Ward he has to get a belt to fight him. That's how ridiculous.
Do you remember strap season?
Strap season. Strap season stopped as soon as dude got a belt. My thing is, if he would have came out and said, look, Al and Bob really aren't doing business. They got whatever they got going on. As soon as, they handle that, me and you can fight. Cool.
Bro, Spence was a breath of fresh air because it seemed like, okay, you got a young, hungry dude that just wants to fight everybody. That's what it seemed like because it was strap season, man down. Remember? You don't ever hear that shit no more. Mm-hmm. It was man down, strap season. We're coming for all the straps. We're coming for everybody. And a lot of dudes were looking at it like, you got to remember, I mean, I don't know how people still look at Spence, but 2-3 years ago, they were looking at Spence as like the body shot killer, like the dude that drops heavyweights with body shots. So it was like, Thurman's ducking him because they know that he's going to beat Thurman's ass. And that's what everybody was saying. But then the same thing Spence was, they were criticizing Thurman for Spence. Spence turned around and became the same dude. Exactly. He became the same dude.
Exactly, B. Let me get to this comment real fast. Fans justify the politics that ruining the sport. That's why we aren't seeing the fights we want to. Yeah. These fans justify fighters ducking other fighters. A lot of them are more of a fan of an individual fighter than the actual sport. 100% correct, Mark. 100% correct. All right, so B. And if anybody don't think that I'm gonna get on Bud ass too, you're mistaken. I'm gonna jump on his ass too. So instead of Spence going that route, he says, no, you gotta get a belt first. Then when dude gets a belt, he on the other side of the street. Now you're moving the goalposts. Now it makes you look like you're afraid because you're coming up with one reason after another of why you're not going to fight, even if the reasons are justified. Even if they're justified, you look like you're a sucker. Now, do I think Errol Spence is afraid of Terence Crawford? No. Do I think Earl's a hypocrite for being mad at Keith Thurman and turning around doing the same thing? to Terence Crawford? You damn right. And if you're actually justifying that bullshit, you're a part of the problem. Stop picking and choosing. Stop picking and choosing. You know, it's one way for this guy, it's one way for that. No, when Bud does it, oh no, see, no, but this happened. No, man, bullshit. It's bullshit. If
Bro, they were
blaming
Pac. Remember Pac?
Go ahead.
Bro, they were even blaming Pac. Remember Pac was to blame.
Uppercuts Boxing Nation, what's good, baby? Yo, subscribe to his channel, man. He really like he got Texas on Smash. Subscribe to Uppercuts Boxing Nation, man. Great guy too. So essentially everybody, and I'm glad you bring up Pac-Man because everybody was kind of waiting on Pac-Man. And Crawford,
but they were blaming him.
He was completely chasing Spence the whole time. No, he's actively trying to make a fight with Manny Pacquiao while saying Spence's name. Actively trying to make a fight with Manny Pacquiao. So if you just acting like he just been chasing Spence the whole time, he hasn't been. Everybody knows how to make fights in boxing. Everybody knows which promoters do what, and just in general. But they try to trick you fans into thinking that it's just this night of the old code and just blood, sweat, and glory, and that's all it's about in legacy. It's about money. This is business, big business. Hey, Brandon, tell me how you got a fight with Manny Pacquiao back in the day. Go ahead.
You got to sign with Top Rank. Like Tim Bradley did. Tim Bradley, he signed with Top Rank and got the fight.
Who else?
Or he was already with, I think he was already with Top Rank. But the thing is to fight a certain guy, bro, there has to be assurances made. You know what I mean?
He wasn't with Top Rank.
Oh, okay. So that's what it was.
He was either with, I think it was either Goosen or Gary Shaw.
Gary Shaw?
Huh? It was either one. It was one of them.
I want to say it was Gary Shaw.
Remember, he used to fight on what? Showtime. He didn't fight on HBO. He fought Devin Alexander and all them dudes. Lamont Peterson. No, that was on Showtime.
No, the Alexander fight was on HBO, wasn't it?
You sure?
Yeah, I think it was on HBO.
Alexander fight. Look it up. Go ahead, cook for a little bit.
Back then, that was a hot fight. The Tim Bradley Alexander fight for a minute was a hot fight at 140. They were like the two up and comers at 140 back in the day.
Go ahead, give your thoughts, B, while I look this up.
The only thing, okay, I'm reading the comments. He says, the only thing I don't like about Bud, how he constantly disrespects the media and quick to pop off on everyone, but with his promoter drags him publicly for not being a draw, he keeps his mouth shut. Well, no, I mean, Bud did kind of talk his shit to Bob after the last fight against Porter. But the thing is, man, it's like, okay, so when I first heard Bob was saying this, Bob was saying that, bro, I just thought that was dudes hating on Bud. I didn't think that shit was real. But it turned out it was real. Like, he was throwing him under the bus. So it's like.
All right, bro, you're right. Devin Alexander was on HBO. Lamont Peterson was on Showtime, and he was with Gary Shaw. So he effectively signed with Bob Arum to get the Manny Pacquiao fight. But, you know, that only applies to PBC, right? Because last time I checked, Juan Manuel Marquez signed with Top Rank to get the third or fourth Pacquiao fight. Which one was it?
Yeah. I want to say it was I want to say it was the fourth fight because I remember the second fight, I know for sure he was with Golden Boy.
Golden Boy. The first and second, I think, was with Golden Boy, right?
Because Marquez, he couldn't get any fights until he signed with Golden Boy. He signed with Golden Boy, he got the Barrera fight, and then he got the Pacquiao fight. And then after the Pacquiao fight, De La Hoya and all them were screaming robbery. So like I remember that specifically. But bro, like it's been like that. See, like the thing about, I don't know if you want to switch to Bud, but the thing about Bud is like now people are like, oh, well, he's a free agent now. He's doing it smart. No, he ain't. That ain't smart, bro. That's the worst shit he can fucking do. Yep. That's the worst shit he can do.
Let's finish up on Spence and then let's cook Bud ass. All right, so so Errol Spence effectively went from scrap season, man down, everybody's afraid of me, to the ultimate businessman. And his fans did too. His fans started talking about A-sides and splits, but when it came to Thurman, you scared, duck season. Right? Once upon a time, all that. Funny how things change. Funny how narratives change. When it was Keith doing it, he was a punk. He was a bitch. When it's Errol, oh, it's just business. That's picking.
Oh, and don't don't even bring up Jaron Wick. You bring up him. Oh my God, motherfuckers get. Oh my God, bro.
We're gonna get the Boots and Virgil. We're gonna get the Boots and Virgil. All right, so Errol Spence unifies the division, and it has been effectively talking out two sides of his mouth when it comes to Crawford, while still being upset with Keith Thurman for doing the same thing that he's doing to Bud. Okay. All right, cool. Terence Crawford, you're being disingenuous. You know how to get these fights. You're just a stubborn man. You didn't want to leave Bob because he was promising you Manny Pacquiao, but he was also giving you really, really good money for turkeys. Let's give me the bean. Jose Benavidez often getting shot, turkey. Meme Machine, turkey. Meme Machine. How you become a mandatory when you didn't even win the eliminator? You got a draw, a robbery draw. How you do that? But since he was getting good money, all he had to do was do the old top rank plan. Call out the guy on the other side of the street. Make the public think that he's afraid. And Spence didn't do himself no favors because he kept talking out of the side of his mouth. But let's look at Terence Crawford objectively. Great fighter, arguably the best fighter in the world, pound for pound. Doesn't sell. But somehow his fans have tricked themselves in the head to thinking that because he has accolades, he deserves 50-50 with a dude that sells more than him. And he has you arguing on his behalf instead of you putting the pressure on him to say, bro, basic business, he sells more than you. You don't deserve 50-50. How about you take the lesser split and make this fight happen? No, his fans only want to blame Errol Spence. Bro, how can you sell 135,000 pay-per-views? What was the other one? What was the con? 120?
Bro, those fights, the public don't have no interest in those fights, dog. Like, that's just the way it is.
What up, JR? How can you sell? I think Victor Postal was 70,000 pay-per-views. Like, how can you sell like that and really expect someone to give you 50-50? Like, at the end of the day, y'all, this is business.
Bro, it's like, okay, the Canelo Triple G shit, right? It's like when they fought the first time. Bro, Canelo didn't have no fucking belts. Triple G had the 3 belts. And guess who got the fucking A side? Guess who got the majority of the purse? It wasn't Triple G. You know what I mean? Bro, it's not that hard to understand, dog. It's really not.
Whoever brings the crowd deserves the money. It's simple. Like, stop changing the basic principles of business to suit your narrative or suit your fighter. Y'all are too emotionally involved in this situation.
Bro, he's not going to get 50-50. He's not going to get 60-40. Like, it's just not mathematically realistic, bro. Like, it's just not, dog. You know what I mean?
If I sell 300 and you sell 100, I deserve a bigger piece of the pie. Shouts out to my man, JR from the Boxing Source. What up, Jay?
Yo, just checking in, man. Dude just gave a good point there with the whole thing with Golovkin and Canelo. You know, it's all about numbers. It's all about money. Golovkin got them belts, but you see who got the bigger piece of the pie in the first, fight pay-per-view, and even in the second one. Like like you said, man, these fans don't understand the business of boxing.
What up, T? No, Yo, fans will just be like, oh, just make the fight. Just give them what they want. You got to put up the money?
Exactly.
Like, there's effectively somebody putting up millions of dollars and expecting a return.
Like,
the same dudes that's whining and complaining is the same dudes that streaming fights. Like, I see Terence Crawford fans coming at Boots, coming at Thurman, coming at Spence all day long. But why them pay-per-view numbers so low? Why y'all ain't show love? Exactly.
Like yo, I mean, like, I've known you for a while, and I know you know how things go when it comes to making events happen or being a promoter, whether it's for fights or events or parties or anything like that. You put up money to make a profit. You don't put up money just because a few people say, oh, this should happen or that should happen. So when we're talking about fights, yeah, some fans want it to happen, but how much y'all willing to pay for it? See, that's what the promoters are talking about. Yeah, the fight's all good, but how much are you willing to pay to see that fight? If you ain't willing to pay this much money to see the fight, then the fight ain't going to happen because all the parties ain't going to be making money. And that's what these fans don't understand.
No. They think it's back alley brawling. And then, you know, people just out there watching for free. Like, no, that's not how this works. It's not how this works. There's millions of dollars involved. Everybody wants to make a profit, like Boxing Source said. And they don't think that they can make a profit. They're not going to put the fight on. Simple.
Hey, Jamil, you know what I think's the funniest shit though, bro? Is dudes literally think that like the fighters are the ones that make the fights. They'll be like, well, nah, Spence called out Bud. Bud said, yeah. Spence said, yeah, they're gonna fight. I'm like, bro, that's not the way it works. That's not the way it works. Like, it does not work that way.
Oh, but did he call him out though? Bro. Oh, why didn't he send a contract? This just in for all you fans. Contracts are not sent right away. The dudes don't sign contracts to what? A couple days before the fight? It's called a term sheet. You have to agree to terms before somebody spends thousands and thousands of dollars on hours for a lawyer for them to draw up the contracts. Hey, JR, tell me if I'm lying.
You're not lying. I think, people should pull up, where I had on the channel, Leonard Ellaby, speaking with Leonard Ellaby after that Terence Crawford Sean Porter fight. And he talked about the specifics of how these things happen. And, I brought up the issue or the example of when, people were talking to him about, I know that Tank's fighting Cruz, but, Eddie Hearn was talking about, hey, I could have Devin Haney step in and fight him. And it's like, no, like, are you kidding me? Like, you know how much it would take in order for anybody to make a Devin Haney fight versus Tank Davis? You think we would have that type of money just like that in order to make that fight? No, that's impossible. And he pretty much goes into the specifics of trying to make a fight of that magnitude happen. And these fans don't understand that one bit.
Let me get to this comment real fast, and I'll touch on what you said. Fans don't realize that the fighters don't pay themselves. Yeah, Chris, you're 100% right. It's somebody's money. Like, and you think these dudes became millionaires and billionaires off of losing bread? Really? Come on, y'all. If it doesn't make money, it doesn't make sense. Ain't nobody trying to end up like the Zone. The Zone burned through all that bread, giving Mikey Garcia $7 million to fight Jesse Vargas. Yeah, all right.
Hey, bro, the Triple G money they gave up. Come on, dog. The Zone, man. Triple G robbed the Zone. Well,
he's still robbing the Zone, but Eddie Hearn made it public that the bank is closed over there at the Zone and Perform Group. They're not going to be paying those fighters exorbitant amount of money, just for them to fight. That stuff is closed now. So anybody that may be interested in like signing and having a network deal with the Zone or Matchroom, that's not going to happen unless you're going to be able to accept a smaller amount of money. because they ain't willing. They're not going to pay these fighters like that anymore. So I'm like, folks gotta, be aware of that. You know what I'm saying?
All right.
Like, it's like the thing about it is like, yeah, you got Devin Haney with a good deal, but that's just Devin Haney. Or Golovkin has a good deal. That's Golovkin. But all these other fighters, oh no, they ain't gonna get that, buddy.
Yo, let's go back to Cook and Terence Crawford. All right, so you effectively re-signed with Bob Arum after talking about that you want these fights from PBC. Right? You re-signed, what was it, the Jose Benavidez? Was it that fight?
No, it was after that.
No, I think that was the fight that started the kicker. See, a lot of dudes don't realize that they have kickers in their contracts. Every fighter does, whether it's with management, an advisor, or a promoter. They have kickers. So whereas though it'd be like, okay, if you win a world title, it's automatically reads up 2 years. If I get you ranked in the top 10, it automatically re-ups you for 2 years. So that's why you see a lot of guys actually sitting out. And that's because they don't want the kicker to begin. Mikey Garcia and Andy Ruiz, they sit out on the shelf because any big fight that they can put you in could initiate a kicker. My man Mark Mazuma said anybody Bob after he met his contractual obligations. Yeah. Dirty Red is unfortunate because if all fighters were on the zone, it would be potentially good for the pockets of the fans. Yeah, that's true. Well, it is, but it's not because Al Heyman gives you free fights. He gives you free fights, but he also gives you a combination of free and pay-per-view. Essentially, if boxing operated on the same frame of the NFL and NBA, that would be good for the fans.
Yo,
Benjamin, you didn't know about the kicker? Oh yeah, man, bro. You can look up contracts on the internet. Like when dudes go through actual like lawsuits in court, all the stuff becomes public record. And I've seen some contracts in my day, and I'm like, damn. Like, yo, and everybody really operates in the same way. Everybody's trying to make money, and everybody's trying to keep the control. And by Terence Crawford effectively signing with Bob, knowing what Al Heyman was trying to do to him and taking it personal. Like, that's like he said in an interview that Al Heyman not getting him fights is taking food out of his mouth. So yeah, he feels the type of way about it. Okay, but
he said that Al Heyman sabotaged his career.
Yeah, he said Al Heyman sabotaged his career. Okay, so effectively, right? You want a dude who you decided not to sign with to do you favors. So Al Heyman could carry the same principle in saying, okay, well, since you didn't sign with me all those years, now I don't want you now because you're a free agent, because that's what Bud is saying. Bud is saying, oh, you didn't give me fights while I was on top rank, so I don't want to sign with you now. That's illogical. That's not having a business.
Actually, that doesn't even sound right because if I'm not mistaken, didn't a couple of Al Heyman advised fighters end up having fights with Terence Crawford in the past?
True.
So
salute to my man Las Vegas Leon. Yo, Leon, you've been showing a lot of love, bro. I appreciate you, man. You're doing your thing out there. As soon as I hit Vegas, I'm gonna link up with you. I promise.
So
go ahead, Jeff.
Yeah. So if you've had fights against these guys, that are under the advisement of Al Heyman that don't even include Sean Porter, then how is it that Al Heyman is blocking you from getting fights? Like we've said many times over, and he said it himself, right? If it makes sense, then the fight will get made. If all parties feel like they're able to make good enough money, they're able to make a good enough profit, then the fight will get made. And up until now, a fight between Terence Crawford and Errol Spence does not make enough financial sense because they don't think they'll be able to get the money they need in order to make a profit. Like, when you got pretty much both parties asking for up to $10 million for a fight, and we know that they haven't, pulled a gate anywhere near that level, then that fight's not gonna happen. It ain't really about the best fighting the best. In most cases, it's about whoever makes the most money with the type of fight that they make. So I don't really, I understand that some people say, oh, these are two top welterweights and they should be able to fight. Well, the thing about it is, y'all could say that they want to fight, but once again, how much are y'all willing to pay to see that fight happen? If you're not willing to pay that much money, then forget about it.
Bro,
Hey,
it's not.
This comment real fast. Dante Hall, Bob sabotaged his career. I don't think Bob did a really good job. I don't think Bob knows how to promote black fighters anymore. I think his area of expertise was in the 70s and 80s, and he's an old man that doesn't understand the market. And it shows.
Look, I tried my best with Terence Crawford, but listen, he's going to have to promote himself. I don't understand it. It looks like he's trying to get money, but every time I try to put him on, I lose money. I could buy houses, but I continue to promote Terence Crawford and lose money. So if he wants to leave, then so be
it. My man Mark Mazuma says, blame it on the black man who has nothing to do with you instead of the white man who's been sabotaging your career. Sounds about right. He makes an interesting point in saying that Al has to do what's right for his fighters. So essentially, you want him to throw you bones when you decided not to sign with him. Does that make sense? It's like being a man that expects a girl to give him the buns when he ain't the one that took her out on a date. You sitting on the sidelines and you want to get come on, that doesn't make sense, yo. Yo, Terence Crawford is the dude that essentially knows where all the girls are at, right? But he decides to go to the other club. Like all the hoes is at one club. Terence Crawford, like, no, I'm gonna go to this one.
I'm gonna go to
Get
this
there,
other joint.
you're like, oh man, where the hoes at? These hoes, they afraid of me. You know where they at. You know where they at. B, go ahead, cook, B.
All right, so look, let's be honest, right? Like the PBC, they did freeze him out.
Yeah.
They weren't gonna let him not fight no PBC fighters unless he signed with them, right?
The elite PBC fighter.
The elite PBC fighters, okay? So yeah, they did freeze him out. But at the end of the day, everybody was saying what? Everybody was saying in October, when his contract was up, he was gonna go to PBC. And what did I say, Jamil?
Wait, say that again, B.
I said everybody said that when Bud's contract was up with Top Rank in October, that he was going to go to PBC. And what did I say?
You said he wasn't going to sign.
And why?
Because he feels some type of way.
And you told me what? You said he'd be an idiot.
Yeah.
And then what happened? He felt some kind of way. I was right. I was literally right on the fucking money.
My man Dirty Red said, I think the worst thing politically to happen in boxing is promotional outfits getting network exclusive deals. Okay, so essentially it is great for boxing because we are getting the most fights and the most cards that we've ever gotten. Like it's times where it's 3 or 4 cards on same weekend and we just flip through the channels to see what we like. There's at least one boxing card on every weekend, but we're getting less quality of fights. So it all depends on what you consider bad for boxing. Because always the best versus the best isn't what we think. Because we thought Cambosos versus Lopez was just a tune-up in a cherry when he waxed Teal's ass. Yeah, Benjamin, that's what he's doing. He going to the club like, yo, we know which club or which bar got all the chicks, right? Wherever we from, we know which spots that the women frequent. You go into the other spot and be like, oh, where the hoes at? Acting surprised. Dude, you know. Stop. And your fans is like, yeah, Bud, call him up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, you can miss me with that bullshit. Both them fan bases, they weird, yo.
Yeah, that's like me being in DC where they got like the park at 14th where all the chicks be at, and then I don't go there and just go to some other club that's like 3 or 4 blocks away that ain't got nothing in there. Like, come on, son.
But over here, like, nah, man, the hoes come to me.
Now, I feel like the biggest difference between, I'm not an Errol Spence fan, but I got to keep this in being. Errol Spence is doing effectively what every other champion has done. He's a wolf when he's trying to climb the mountain, and then when he gets to the top of the mountain, he's a businessman. They all do it. George Kambosos just won one fight, and all of a sudden, everybody got to come to him. Everybody does it. What Terence Crawford's doing is a little bit different because he's been delusional. And I don't know who's managing his career, but somebody needs to pull his coat. And the only way to go is PBC. Right now, you're a man without a country, right? You thinking that you're going to do what Canelo's doing when effectively Canelo's bringing 800,000 people and bringing a full house. He's bringing 800,000 pay-per-view buys in a full house. Every promoter's going to want that. You're bringing 100-something thousand. So it will behoove you to sign with Al to make him have a stake in your career. I never heard PBC guys talk about a split unless it's a co-promotional thing. Dudes on PBC, they don't talk about no split. I never heard Sean Porter versus Danny Garcia say, oh, man, well, you got to give me 60-40. You got me. No, you never hear about it. Al handles that.
Nope. The thing is, man, everybody that's a boxing fan knows about the confrontation that Errol Spence and Terence Crawford had, where Errol Spence basically told him that Al Haymon has a plan for him, and he's going to stick to that plan, and that plan is going to get him to the point where he could be the top dog in either in the welterweight division or be the top dog when it comes to money. Okay. And up until, about say July of this year, he was able to follow that plan. The only thing was he wasn't cleared to fight Manny Pacquiao, and that's it. Outside of that, he was able to follow the plan. He was able to get what he needed to get, and he was able to be the top guy pretty much in the welterweight division when it came to getting belts and getting money. Bud understood that. Bud didn't understand that.
And we need to address this comment real fast because Kevin Coleman, I don't know if you really understand what's going on. All right, so you said forget all that, make the fight. Crawford put his chips on the table. It's Earl's time to put out. No, Crawford didn't put his chips on the table. Crawford became a free agent. Crawford putting his chips on the table, signing with Al Haymon.
Sign with Al Haymon,
putting your chips on the table.
Or agree to the deal that's out there. Because what amazes me about this stuff is that this whole thing with Terence Crawford and Errol Spence is reminding me of when people were talking about, oh, Floyd is ducking Miguel Cotto. Oh, Floyd is ducking Manny Pacquiao. Well, let's go back to Miguel Cotto. When Miguel Cotto was under Top Rank, he had his deal with Top Rank, and he had those fights under Top Rank. After he fought Antonio Margarito for the second time, that was his last fight under Top Rank. And once he was out of that contract, his first fight was against who? Floyd Mayweather. Why? Because they were able to make a deal to where Cotto would be able to agree to it and get the fight with Floyd Mayweather, right? With Manny Pacquiao, it was just to the point where everybody knew that all parties could make lots of money for making a fight at the time that they made it. They didn't see it at any other time. Because if y'all think that the fight would have happened back in those years that it would have happened, no, because they knew in the back of their mind that if they waited long enough, they would be able to make the most money possible. It wasn't about, oh, who's the best guy at this time or who's the best guy at that time. It's about they knew that this would be the most lucrative fight in boxing history, and they wanted to maximize the amount of profit that they had for that fight. And that's the same case what's happening right now.
Hey, Jay, these fans really think that the promoters care about who's the best. Yo, that's what's funny. You think the promoters care about the best in legacy? Nah, man, they just trying to turn a profit, bro.
Hold on. What's this comment right here? Okay, we got to remember PBC and Top Rank was in court. Top Rank was suing the PBC for years. They won't work together. Let's see. What was it? We got 2019.
Oh, you talking about Wilder and Fury?
Correct. In 2019 was when they put that deal up for Wilder and Fury to have the 2-fight deal. So you mean to tell me that PBC and Top Rank working together then? What were those comments from Bob Arum before the fight? Oh man, this is great. We're working with Al Heyman to make this fight between Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder, and we're all doing fine. We're all doing great. We're all making money. Okay, so that just tells you that they're willing to work together if they feel like the fight is going to make enough money, and that's the bottom line. It's like,
bro, Crawford and Spence is maybe a 500K fight. It's not a million pay-per-view buys. It's not like that. It's not a crossover fight, bro. Like with the Pac Floyd shit, they knew they could milk that shit forever, right? Because, bro, that shit captured the attention. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Bro, now, Pac and Floyd could come out and do a rematch, and it's bigger than anything in the sport. It shouldn't be like that, but it is.
That's right.
Oh, wait. Let's get to these comments real fast because I've seen something that's interesting. All right, so Emeritus Boxing says Crawford is very contradictory. First he wants to fight, then he said he's moving on, and now he wants to. Yeah, you're 100% right. He don't know where he want to go. Hey, Chris, and then blame the host running for. It's the truth, Chris. It's the truth. I want the quality upsets will always happen, but back in the day, you couldn't come to a network with a trash fight. You had to put the big dogs in there to make money. There wasn't a tough fight back to back. Like there was always the in-between fights. You got to give the up-and-coming dudes a chance. You got to give the other guys a chance. Damone Daniels, Bud needs to stay a free agent. Gary signing the PBC doesn't guarantee you anything. Well, Damone, let me put you on something. Gary isn't signed to Al Heyman. Hasn't been signed to Al Heyman for years.
Never been signed to Al Heyman. The thing is, number one.
Hey, Jay, real fast, I'm going to let you cook. Damone, this is not a narrative channel, right? I'm not pushing anything. You got some dudes that want to push, Spence is scared of Bud. You got some dudes that want to say Bud is scared of Spence. Oh, Top Rank is the greatest. PBC is the greatest. Bro, all these dudes are the same, man. I get money with all of them. I've been to PBC events. I've been to Top Rank events. I've been to the zone events. So I want everybody to win. Everybody succeed. Go ahead, Jay.
All right. First thing is Gary Russell hadn't really been signed with Al Heyman. Okay. And people got to realize that that's a key thing in reference to Gary Russell. Okay. Because recently, of course, people had the announcement that Russell is going to be fighting Mark Magsayo, in January, right? So when you're not signed with Al Heyman may not have a plan for you, okay? So in one sense, Gary Russell's making money, but in another sense, since he's not really with Al Heyman, he doesn't really have a set plan to where he could put Gary Russell Jr. in a position to get the fights that he wants. Mm-hmm. And like we bring up the whole thing with Errol Spence. Errol Spence gets the fights that he wants with Al Heyman, and Al Heyman has a plan for him. But when it comes to Gary Russell's like, I'm not signing with Al Heyman. I'm not doing this deal with Al Heyman. So, in a sense, you're not going to, get the fights that he wants. Remember, a couple of years ago, everybody was talking about Gary Russell fighting Leo Santa Cruz, and that fight not happening. Well, in one instance, he's not signed with Al Heyman, so he's not going to get the fights that he wants. In another sense, Gary Russell Jr., with his current asking price and what he gets for individual fights right now, makes a fight between him and Leo Santa Cruz not fiscally possible or financially possible, because they don't feel at that point or now that they'll be able to make the money that they need in order for that fight to take place. They're not going to turn a good enough profit for that fight to take place. So him fighting these once a year mandatories is because they got to fulfill that once a year mandatory for him. But as far as like getting the interest or making the money for fights with Gary Russell Jr., it's not going to happen.
Hey, Jay, you bring up an interesting point, right? Because you referenced him not being signed and him getting slots. Okay, so contract law, right? So let's say if I'm signed to Al Heyman and JR is not signed and JR is fighting consistently, I'm guaranteed 3 fights a year, but I'm not getting my 3 fights, and JR is on Al Heyman cards instead of me. I can sue Al Heyman. I'll win and get out of my contract. So Al Heyman essentially has to do what's best for his fighters. If you're not one of his fighters, he can fit you into a card, he'll do that. But dudes like Jaron Ennis, like, I'm pretty sure Showtime pays for those slots. Do you agree? Just like Samson Lipkowitz with Sebastian Fundora. He's paying for that slot to get that kid on that card. Gary Russell has no promoter. So nobody's paying for Gary to get on these cards. Therefore, you don't see Gary. Al Heyman has no vested interest in Gary Russell's career. Everybody on PBC isn't a PBC fighter. Understand that. PBC is a TV show. Al Heyman is an advisor.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, they got to know the difference between Premier Boxing Champions being a presentation and Heyman dealing with Heyman boxing. And the thing about it is like you said, like when you're with Heyman, Heyman has to get you these slots in order for you to fight. Mm-hmm. If he's not able to get you those slots, then either you get out of the contract or you pretty much, like you said, sue him, because you pretty much have a guarantee that you get these slots, that you're supposed to get this money, and that you're supposed to get these fights. And he's supposed to be working for you. Mm-hmm. Okay? That's the bottom line with managers, advisors, promoters. They work for you. You don't work for them. But in the case with Gary Russell Jr., he's his own man. He's his own guy. He's his own promoter. So if he gets a slot, that's because, okay, we could fit you in to this so that you could have this one spot, But if you're your own promoter or your own guy and there isn't that much of a demand for you, then, promoters and managers aren't necessarily going to work with you that much. You know what I mean? So I'll just, put it at that for, that specific example with Gary Russell, and just leave it at that.
Kevin Coleman says, yeah, that's your boy Errol who started the 60-40 shit. He didn't do that with any other fight. I'm going to stop you right there, bro. First, I'm not an Errol Spence guy. Not really. People consider me an Errol Spence hater. I just tell the truth. I see where Bud is wrong. I see where Spence is wrong. That's first. Secondly, Bud would be lucky to get 60-40 based off of just basic business principles. And the only reason why you never heard that about with any other guys, because those were all in-house guys. In-house negotiations stay in-house. Only when it's cross-promoted, then that's when you hear about splits and all that stuff, to be honest with you.
Like, I don't understand how people don't even pull up or reference when Bud said that when fights are made in-house, then there's no real issue with it, because that's what people do. Like, Top Rank has done it. Golden Boy does it. Heyman Boxing, those under Heyman Boxing does it, or, Lou DiBella. or whatever it is. But when we talk about the whole thing with splits, is because we see the numbers. A lot of these numbers that happen with these fights are public record. So when Spence has his fights with Danny Garcia or his fights with Sean Porter, those are public record. The gates, the pay-per-view buys, or whatever it is, but specifically the gates and who attends the fight, who
Yes,
pays the tickets,
State
whatever the
Athletic
comps
Commission
are,
will tell you that.
right?
Yeah.
Now, recently I've heard that when it comes to boxing gates in Las Vegas, they're not public anymore. So guess what? The last fight that we had over at the Michelob Ultra Arena between Terence Crawford and Sean Porter, we might not be able to get the information on that. We won't get how many tickets had sold. We won't be able to get the
That's
gate.
weird. That doesn't make sense. So
It doesn't make sense, but that's weird. However, there's a kind of like a side way to find out how much money that particular fight made, because at least we would know how much the tickets were for that particular venue and what the capacity is. They could tell you what the attendance is, and then you could pretty much gauge how much money was made off of that fight based on the attendance of that particular fight. But yeah, as of right now, we don't know how much money was made at the gate for Crawford Porter, and we might not ever know.
All right, my man Benjamin Bryan Jr. says, I'm gonna keep it G. I don't think Earl and Crawford fight makes that much money first. Their purse is going to be at least 20 mil or something crazy for them to do 350K buys. I say their guarantees is going to be around 10 million. I mean uppercuts. Yeah, that's why they call it prize fighting. My man Damone Daniels says, what, 700K to $1 million? Nah, bro. I don't see that. He said, I don't care about who's this or that, make the fight. Yo, the only way this fight's going to be made is if both sides actually are being realistic, right? If Crawford signs a multi-fight deal, he will get this fight. If Spence stops being I can't make this personal, so I gotta say it right. Spence has divish qualities. Spence also has to bend a little. If both sides leave the negotiating table unhappy, then it was a fair deal. So Spence really wants this fight, he's gonna have to bend a little. If Bud really wants this fight, he's gonna have to bend a lot.
It's crazy that these fans keep saying, make the fight, make the fight. If you think it's that easy, go ahead and make the fight.
My man,
if they got the money, okay. If y'all got the money, y'all could, hit up Terence Crawford. You can hit up Errol Spence and say, hey, I got this money right here. Let's see if we can make this fight.
My man Damone says, thanks for educating me. Hey, bro, like I said, it's not a narrative-based channel, right? I have no side. I'm just here to give y'all the real. If you don't believe me, cool. You can do the research on your own. But neither one of these dudes are scared. This just goes along with two guys that have big egos and want the most money and want the most amount of respect before they go into the biggest fight of their life. Dante says, I never knew Gary wasn't signed out. Yeah, bro. He told, as a matter of fact, I was on the Boxing Source, my man, who's on right now. Subscribe to this channel, great content, great interviews. I was on his show, he had Gary on, and Gary told us out of his own mouth, he hasn't been signed out in a long time. But then you wonder why Gary can't get a fight. Bro, every promoter is like that. You think Bob, okay, why hasn't Bob gotten Teofimo Lopez and Lomachenko? Why hasn't Bob given Devin Haney those fights? He told you out of his own mouth, you signed to the wrong promoter. Ain't nobody doing no dudes favors.
Nope.
My man Kenyon Lofton, I just got here, but all I gotta say is Crawford to be 3 undisputed. I don't see that, but shit, if he does, more power to him. This is a good comment, yo. It's kind of peculiar Bud signed with Daniel Kinahan as an advisor. Okay, so Terence Crawford fans, I need to ask you. Okay, so you're telling me one guy has all the fights that you want. One dude, all the fights that you want is a guy named Al Heyman. Al Heyman will also let you be your own promoter on said card. JR, true?
Yes. You've heard of Bomb Squad Promotions. You've heard about Lions Only Promotions, among other things. So yes, they want you to kind of like be part of the promotional thing, so that, like you said, they get more money on the back end because they basically get 2 checks.
Ding, 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 ding. So essentially, you sign with another guy? You're telling me you want these fights. Like, fans, take your love for this particular fighter out. We ain't doing no love today. We giving you the real shit. Take your love for Spence, take your love for Crawford, throw that shit out the door, man. I don't give a fuck. You're telling me that you want these fights and you sign with another advisor? This advisor got all the fights that you want, that you say you want, that you screaming in the public, that your fans are screaming in the public for. You sign with another dude, but it's the other side's fault? That makes sense?
Man,
Tell me in the comments, does that make sense? That's like you want to be in the NBA so bad, but you sign in Europe when you had the option of signing with the NBA. Oh yeah, I want to play against Brian. I want to play against Dame Lillard. I want to play against I want to play against Joel Embiid, and then go sign in Europe.
That I mean, that's wild. There was like another comment that you posted up earlier in reference to people saying that it makes a certain amount of pay-per-view buys or whatever it is. If I'm not mistaken, we just had a couple of months ago Deontay Wilder versus Tyson Fury 3. Okay. Heavyweight fight, people, were saying like, okay, this is the biggest, heavyweight fight that's out there. And it pretty much got around 700,000 to 800,000 pay-per-view buys. And we're talking about 2 top 5 heavyweights. And when it comes to pay-per-views, nothing really tops, heavyweights outside of Canelo and Floyd. And Canelo and Floyd are basically crossover stars. So if you got 2 guys in Errol Spence and Terence Crawford that aren't crossover stars, and they're going to be pitted up against each other, what makes anyone think that it's going to get 700, 800,000 buys?
Those days are over. It's too easy to get streamed, Joe. Yo, back in the day, you need the rigged up cable box. Y'all remember the vibes? Come on, you need the rigged up cable box to see these fights. Now, man, any kid with a laptop or a cell phone can get a stream. So nah, man, those $1 million pay-per-view buys, unless you pop it.
Yeah, I'm like, Canelo just had his pay-per-view thing with Plant. That didn't reach 1 million. So what makes people think that Spence Crawford would get anything close to even, I would say, 300,000? It might get over 300,000, but that's about as good as it might get, unless they really do some things in order to say, okay, I don't watch boxing that much, but I know that if these 2 fight, that it's going to be a real fight. That's what they need in order to make a pay-per-view buys be as good as they want it to be. But fans of the sport don't really understand that.
AJ. Wait, I got a question for you. Let me get to these comments though. A local Koki, I hope I pronounced that right. If I did, I'm sorry. If I didn't, I'm sorry. Do you think Boots should sign with Al Heyman to get bigger fights? Boots is the one at 147. And hey, good stream. Yes. To me, and the comment under this, I'm going to segue into both. So I'm answering you both at the same time. So do y'all think that Boots will be able to get fights at welterweight, or he'll have to sign with PBC, or just continue to work with Showtime? Boots ain't getting Terence Crawford or Keith Thurman unless he signs with Al. PBC is a TV show, but I know what you mean when you say PBT. Unless you sign with Al, you ain't getting those fights. And Boots is too much of a threat to try. Like, I know for a fact that Al's been trying to get his hands on Boots for years, like years, and still hasn't. You know, Boots is he signed with Cameron Duncan, but yeah, Boots will probably end up winning a vacant title and won't really get an A-level fight unless he does that, unless the landscape of boxing changes. But other than that, no, I don't see it. He's too much of a threat. This fucking kid's a killer, yo. You said, I think the fight happens late 2022. From your mouth to God's ears, I hope so.
Yo,
man,
you had like a question before I was gonna say something about Boots.
Yeah, I got a question for you. Realistically, if Terence Crawford, let's say, goes over to PBC for a 3-fight deal, they give him like Adrian Broner, they give him Keith Thurman, and they give him Spence to build his profile. How would you see the fight doing then?
Oh, the thing with Spence?
Yeah. If it went in that order.
It would probably, get him some more, money and probably get a little bit more interest. But as far as like, I still don't see where it could get it to the point where, both fighters where they want $10 million for the fight. I still don't see it, unfortunately. To me, it's like they got to do more. It's almost like the thing with Tank Davis, right? Like Tank Davis, what he's been able to do as far as like building up his profile and building his popularity. That's why he's able to have fights against like a Mario Barrios and against an Isak Cruz and get, lots of money off that. Yeah. Some people say, okay, yeah, the base that he gets is $1 million, but trust me, he gets a whole lot more than $1 million, $2 million, $3 million. Okay. So thing about it is, it's like, if you see what, Terence Crawford had in his last deal with Top Rank, $4 million guarantee. That's pretty much what, they were saying, $4 million guarantee minimum. And he's doing that against the likes of Benavidez or against, freaking like Kell Brook, So if you know that that's his minimum guarantee, then all that stuff is, brought up significantly fighting the likes of Adrian Broner or Keith Thurman. And so let's say he tries to fight Keith Thurman. Like, do y'all think that a fight between Terence Crawford and Keith Thurman makes enough money for all parties to turn a profit? I don't know. But
Keith, see, it's funny because Keith can draw. Keith's never had a problem selling. But the thing is Keith would need a tune-up and need to look good in a tune-up for that to be realistic.
Yeah, pretty much.
Alan Feaster says, I'll let you cook on this one. Terence Crawford needs to promote himself with his team.
Ooh. I mean, he got, a lot of guys that are with him. He has a team. He's had pretty much a team for a while, whether he's been with Top Rank or not. Some of y'all may be familiar with, what B&B is over there in Omaha. So that's pretty much his team. And, as long as he, he sticks with his team, that's about as good as it gets with him. He has a lot of guys that are there in the camp that, support him, likes of Jamel Herring and Steven Nelson. You got, Secure Stevenson that's been in and out of the camp. But, unless if he has somebody else that, tries to push him in a different direction, then what he is right now is what he's going to be. And if he doesn't get any higher than that, then he's not really going to get what he wants to get.
Higher Wisdom says Crawford is a great fighter, but a perpetual bad decision maker. You're 100% right. Tyrese Clark says, don't make no sense. No, I really don't, bro. My man Aloco, Bob Arum does certain fighters dirty. Look at Shakur, been chasing Oscar Valdez for a couple years now. Devin Haney probably happy he didn't sign with Bob because he wouldn't get no fights. Yeah, number one rule of promoting, protect your ticket sellers. That's what they do.
Yep.
Emeritus Boxing, Spence versus Ugas next, most likely. Who a bug fight? Yeah, I heard Spence versus Ugas was going to be next. That's from a legitimate source. That is.
Yeah,
Wait. It's a legitimate source. I can't. You know what I'm saying? I can't put it like this. Whoever told this person that it was going to most likely be next, he is top 4 or 5 most powerful guys in boxing. So, and he's responsible for probably your biggest fights. And I'm not talking about Al Heyman. So.
Oh, okay.
So who would else be responsible for top 4 or 5 biggest fights? It says I think Spence and Crawford will do 500 to 700K. I can see that if it's promoted right. I mean, Tyrese Clark says you like you always ask people, if you laid on the wood, who wins, Virgil or Paul Curl? LOL. You had to say Little Wolf. I think Paul beats Virgil. Paul has more dimensions than Virgil. Virgil is a straight up and down fighter, really good fighter, but Paul can switch. Paul can punch. Paul can box. Yeah, nah, I don't think Virgil can beat Paul. Sam Watson. No, it wasn't Sam Watson.
No,
it wasn't Sam Watson.
Nope, it's not him.
JR, you already know who it is.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
but I know who it is. But I know a couple of other people that are around the game too that would kind of know how that the game goes too. So, but back on the thing with who is it, Virgil Ortiz? I don't think you kind of touched on it yet, but I don't know. I probably got in a while after. Did you touch on this whole little BS between freaking that dude Blair the Flair?
Oh my God! Okay.
And
all right. So I'm gonna go through these comments just real fast.
Yeah.
I'm gonna drop the link in the chat for the last 10 minutes of the live, and I'm gonna let people cook. I'm just gonna sit back and be quiet. Y'all get your thoughts out. My man Alan Fisher said he's also friends with Warren Buffett and other investors. Yeah, but those guys they have to see value in what they're investing in. They're not just going to give up money just to give it up. If they don't think they're going to turn a profit, they invest in shit. Bro, I like Spence versus Ugas. It's not a bad fight. I think Ugas can beat Spence, maybe. I don't see that. What is going on? What is Golden Boy doing? Rashid Ellis. Rashid Ellis is sitting out till January, so his contract can be up. They haven't done a good job with him at all. I believe whoever's been promoting Boots been doing a horrible job. While my man fight on the undercard of string bean fights, Boots needs better slots than that. I don't know why Boots was fighting on that undercard. That was the fight that we all wanted to see. We didn't care about Boots beating the shit out of Jamal James. Whatever. All right. Real fast, let me play the clip. Okay. Terence Crawford fans and Errol Spence fans have been coming up with reasons to not fight Boots. And coming up with reasons to just, pawn him off on somebody else. And Blair Cobbs. If anybody actually watched the full interviews on Fighter IQ, right? So what Blair Cobbs does is he's doing an interview with Fighter IQ. He walks away from the interview, looks back at Fighter IQ, who Fighter IQ works for Fight Hype. Or works with Fight Hype. I'm sorry, works with Fight Hype. He puts content on Fight Hype. Looks back while walking up the Boots to make sure that dude is watching, and then starts the commotion. All right, so all I've been hearing from Terence Crawford and Errol Spence fans is, all right, when is Boots going to step up? We want him to fight somebody. We want him to fight somebody. We want him to fight somebody. We need you to step up. We got to see what he is. When are you going to fight somebody? You fighting bums. You fighting ducks. Okay, so right now, Boots is number 3 in the IBF, but Sean Porter's retired, so that makes him 2. Number 2 in the WBC and number 2 in the WBO. So that means he has 3 eliminators lined up to become somebody's mandatory. And people are clamoring for him to fight a 31. Matter of fact, he'll be 32 in December 30th. So a 32-year-old, 15-0 prospect who's ranked 44th in the world. Does that sound like a step up? I got a question. Before Blair Cobbs approached Boots, is that a fight that you wanted to see? Is that what you considered a step up? No, you didn't. Blair Cobbs wasn't on your radar. You wanted Danny Garcia, you wanted Sean Porter, you wanted Abel Ramos, you wanted your Dennis Ugas, you wanted all those other guys. But now that Blair Cobbs calls Boots out, now Boots is ducking. Now that's a fight that you want to see. Now Blair Cobbs is a good fighter. Blair Cobb's biggest win is a washed-up Brad Solomon. Make it make sense, y'all. Blair Cobbs is the same dude that did an interview and said, they asked him about Virgil Ortiz and Jaron Ennis. He said, oh, Virgil's my friend. But Boots, I'll fight him. That makes sense? You're on the same promotional company. Oh, you got friends in your weight class? Really? So the dude that's not from your city, the dude that's not from your city, the dude that you didn't watch growing up, he's not your friend. The dude that you probably just met a couple years back, that's your homie. And you don't want to fight him. That makes sense to y'all? That's a cloud chase, y'all. Pure cloud chase. And it worked. And shit, there's a whole lot of inside stuff. I'm from Philly. So Blair's from Philly, Boots is from Philly. There's a whole lot of inside stuff that y'all don't want to that y'all don't understand. And I don't know if I'm at liberty to speak on it. So if I get the okay to speak on it, then I will. I'll do that at another live. But fighting a guy that's ranked 44th and you're ranked 7th, that makes sense. That makes sense to y'all? No. That's a step back. You want him to take a step forward. Virgil Ortiz is a good fight. If it had been Rashid Ellis or Virgil Ortiz that stepped to him like that, I would have said fight him. Blair Cobbs is 32, 15-0, 44. And I don't want to take nothing away from him, but that doesn't make sense. Boots is looking for a belt or a prerequisite to a belt, and that's not Blair Cobbs. So stop it, yo. All y'all doing is deflecting because y'all know he's coming. And you're too emotionally invested in Spence and in Crawford to acknowledge the fact that this kid's coming and he can beat both fighters. Will he? We'll have to see. But he can beat both guys. He has the ability to. We'll just find out on fight night. But y'all can't get out of y'all little civil war to focus on real boxing. And this is what made me do this live. I'm pissed. I'm pissed because all I see is this back and forth between Crawford and Spence fans crying, oh, 60-40, this and that, you're scared, and big fish. And I don't care about that. I care about the actual sport of boxing. Both fighters are wrong. Both fighters are right. Spence is a hypocrite. Bud's lacking quality decision making right now. And he's not doing everything he can to make the fight while going back and forth like, oh, I want to fight. Oh, I'm done with the fight. I want to fight. No, I'm done with the fight. I want to be the mandatory. No, he don't want to fight me. I'm through. Come on, man. Spence. Oh, get a belt. Oh, you're on the wrong side of the street. Oh, as soon as I clean up my side. Oh, like I'm tired of it. I'm tired of it. If y'all not, cool. I'm tired of seeing that shit. Either fight or move out the way and let the young boys have it. That's where I'm at with it. Jay, I'm sorry. I went on a rant.
Yo. Now, I was going to talk about the thing here with Blair Cobbs and Boots Ennis. First, my question is Blair Cobbs a Golden Boy fighter?
Yes.
Okay. So if Blair Cobbs is a Golden Boy fighter, why hasn't he stepped up to Virgil Ortiz? And why didn't he step to Rashidi Ellis? If he wants to really, make some moves.
Bud and Porter was friends.
Yeah. What?
Zab and Floyd is friends. All right, yo, we're opening up the I don't even want to call it the link. Everybody, y'all got y'all last 10 minutes to cook. Paul versus Paul called out Blair Cobbs. Still ain't no response. So I guess Blair Cobbs is ducking Paul now, right? All right, yo, if y'all want to cook, click the link, hop in, let's have it. I'm gonna be silent. Go ahead, y'all do your thing.
Yo, like I said, I mean, if you ain't gonna be stepping up to fight those guys within your own promotional company, then don't even try to mess with somebody that isn't even on that level. And the thing with Boots Ennis is, and Jamil will tell you this, being around the gyms in Philly, but I've been in the gyms in Philly, I've been in the gyms in Las Vegas, in the DC area, multiple spots. Everybody, when I say everybody that's around the game, everybody co-signs Boots as that guy. Everybody. I've never seen one person, not one, say that Boots don't have the goods. Not one. So if everybody within the game knows that, you best believe that those that are holding the belts right now know that. So what they're not going to do is they're not going to risk their position to fight somebody that's up and coming, that got the skills, that got to me has the dedication to the sport of boxing that only very few people in the game have. Very few. So they're in there to make their money, all right? And they ain't willing to risk their spot. They understand that, and Boots understands that.
Yo, why Sam? Man, long time no see, man.
It was good, baby.
Hey, man, I was trying to holler at you, man. I was trying to mess you a couple weeks back. You didn't get back to me, man.
I'm sorry, bro. I'll be so busy. I'm interview based, and it's hard for me to get in lives, man. But I just got pissed this morning. So y'all cook.
Okay, all right. Well, while I'm here, I'm gonna say something real quick, man. So it looked like remember how months ago we talked about that little not really a bet because I wasn't exactly sure, but we were talking about how when Spence is going to come back and when he can be clear to fight and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Well, you said that he would be out for at least 6 months, and I didn't deny that. I said that could be true. I'm not sure. And then I said but it looks like he may be back even. He may do March. If it'll be 6 months in March, but he may even we're talking about February, right? If he's back in late February, right? So that's gotta be 5 months. But he's already been cleared to fight, so that means from his doctors, that means that he can get an eight week training camp in right now and be ready to fight. In February.
You count chickens before they hatch, bro.
No, I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but man, I was kind of telling you a little bit, like, don't look too deep into this. Don't look too deep, because I could tell from me gathering my stuff, I was like, Come on, man. You know what I'm saying? You kind of look a little too deep into
Hey,
this.
Lenard, just call me when the fight date is announced. If it's before March, you got me. If it's after
Yeah.
March, I got you.
Well, no. I didn't say that. I remember I didn't say that it would not be. It would. I would not say. I didn't say it would not be by March or whatever. I didn't say that. I'm just saying because I was just saying that it's not quite. The injury is not quite as serious as you know that you were kind of yes you were saying you were kind of alluding to. We say it like that because you didn't. Again, all you said was you'll be out for at least 6 months, and I said that could be possibly be true. But I mean, it looked like he might even be back in February. I think he'll be back in March because it's getting kind of late, for February fight. But but overall, man, it looked like looking good for my boy, man.
Hey,
And then
yo,
let's go see what's gonna happen with this Ugas thing. I mean,
I
he's but
hope
the
I hope that he comes back, and I hope that he's healthy because
me too.
boxing needs Errol Spence.
Yeah, I want to see him back. And I seen. Hopefully, it'll be Ugas. But the WBA is playing games. We'll see. I don't know. I'm waiting for their ruling. I want to see what they're gonna say, man. I really do.
Hey, my man Loco said Blair's undefeated though. I just want to see him kick KO'd. So Boots is gonna beat the earth, wind, and fire out of Blair Cobbs. Oh my god.
But you gotta
Cobbs
give me
versus
my
Blair
credit.
Cobbs, I want that.
Oh, go ahead, bro. Sorry. Oh, I was saying, now you gotta give me my credit, man. You know what I'm saying? He's already been cleared to fight by the doctors. He's been
If
cleared
he
to.
all right, so you were right. It wasn't as serious as I had thought. I was worried that it was going to be a completely detached retina, and
No.
that maybe that they were doing lip service. Now we still got to see when he comes back, because
Again,
you can
yeah,
say, you can
yeah,
say he's been cleared, but
yeah. You
it'd
don't know that
show what date they give him, how
exactly.
serious
Yeah.
it was.
Well, I mean, listen, just because he's cleared doesn't mean he's gonna get a fight. He might get a fight. 2 months from now. I don't know. I think he'll probably get one this month, but we'll see. But again, just because he's cleared to fight doesn't mean I know when he's gonna get one. I was just
Hey,
saying for the doctors whether they're gonna clear it or not, and it seems like they have. So his eyes been, and this is official documents you can look up on the WBN. So I knew his shit wasn't as bad as people make it seem. Just like they try to make a car
You
crash seem
said
as
you
bad.
said at the WBN.
WBN, sorry, what is it? The World
hey,
Boxing News, the articles that they're making, World Boxing News.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that,
yes,
this shit
huh?
is horrible.
But I mean, even though I don't think it's that bad because whenever they say something, it's typically true. Like what I'm saying, like from what I've looked at, like everything they say that they have put out there when they make announcements and things like that, is turns out to be check out to be true. So I can't say they're horrible from my experience.
Hey Jay, you was gonna say
hey,
something?
hey, the rumor guy. Let me just say it again. The rumor guy says that it could be Spence versus Ugas on January 29th. But
That's too
like I
soon.
said, it's from the rumor guy.
That's too
That's
soon.
too soon. That's too soon. Like, it's not even an 8-week training camp. That's too soon.
That's
That's
too
too
soon to
soon.
sell a pay-per-view though.
That's too soon. It's too soon.
Well,
I
who
don't
knows?
even listen. I don't even know what the WBA is going to do with Ugas. I hope they do because I do want to see Spence get it a little. I won't call Ugas a tune-up because it's definitely not a tune-up fight. But that's what I'm saying. At least it would be easier fight for a champion for Spence to face Crawford because I want these two when Spence fights Crawford, Crawford fights Spence. I want to make sure both guys are at their best, they're healthy, so there be no excuses. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to say, oh, let's say that he hops in there with Terence Crawford. Let's say that Terence Crawford was able to beat him. Oh, his eye, he's been inactive. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? No, I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear that. That's why I want to make sure that each fighter is at their best. Where'd you hear that rumor at, man?
What?
You said
Oh,
about
it's from a guy that usually posts rumors on Twitter. So
Wait,
he
are you referring
has
to the
a
dude
little
that
bit
owes
of
me a
a
steak?
rumor report.
Is that the guy? Is that the guy that owes me a steak, man?
I think so. I think it's the person that owes you a steak, Jamel.
All right, he's actually a good source. He knows his shit.
I mean, Spence has been in the gym, but
He
what
knows his
about the
shit.
What
Real
about
shit.
what about the WBA? How are they going to? We don't even know what's going to happen with that belt situation, right? It's supposed to be ruled. It's supposed to be ruled yesterday. I guess they didn't get to it, so it should be ruled by today because the purse bid is tomorrow. So I mean, it should be ruled by today. I mean, so we don't even know what's going to happen. So how can we say that?
I can put a filler out. If put it like this, if the WBA rules that Stanionis has to get his shot against Ugas, Spencer's stuck.
He's not necessarily stuck. There is one more guy out there that I said if it's not Ugas, makes perfect sense. But if he can't get Ugas, Keith Thurman. And I know,
and that's why I said he's stuck, because he's been crying in I'm not going to fight him. I'm not going to fight him.
Yeah, I know, but I know he's been saying
it only
that,
gives him two choices because Abdul Kakarov is fighting. What is his name? Crawley?
Yeah, on Saturday or something. Yeah. So it's not like he can get an immediate fight. You don't want a fighter of a high level fighter to be sitting out for so long. So I mean, he's gonna have to humble himself. You know what I'm saying? And let's just say, listen. I was Al Heyman. I'll say it like this. I'll be like, listen, boy. Now listen to me clear, boy. You don't have many options right now. You lost the Pacquiao fight. You can't get the Ugas fight. What you're gonna have to do is humble yourself and get Keith Thurman. Keith Thurman's coming off of inactivity. It'll be a big pay-per-view fight. You guys can make it happen. You're coming off inactivity too. It'll be an even playing field. Now let's make this fight happen. Do you want a big fight or not?
Yo, is that your Al Heyman voice?
That's the best I can think of. I don't know how you sound. What you think you sound like?
I've heard him talk before.
How's it sound?
Sounds like your grandpa.
Grandpa, is it deep?
Yeah.
Or is it deep, high? What?
In between.
In between. Like me.
Go look up a clip, right? Is a clip of Floyd taking long, making people wait for his ring entrance, and you'll see Al come up like, "Come on, it's time to go."
Oh, okay. Which just what I put on YouTube? Like just what I put on YouTube.
Look up Al Heyman talks to Floyd.
Oh, Heyman talks to Floyd.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
You guys are awesome. I'll be back. Thank us, Al Feaster, man. I appreciate the love, yo. I really appreciate the love. I do this for you, man. I do this for you. That's my Tony Montana. It's not that good. I like to see two fighters that people care about as much as two skilled fighters. To keep it real, you only people that care about Boots fight now are East Coast boxing fans. Boots is a good fighter. Like, I don't even understand. You must be from someplace else. You might be like from down south, but you put Boots against your favorite fighter and watch what happens.
Boots is the goods, man.
He's the future of boxing.
Boots is the good, but I see, what's so crazy? I see more energy from the Crawford fans try to push Boots on Spence than I see vice versa.
Oh, you damn right.
They say they want to push him. They don't. I'd see that. I don't know. I'm just being honest from what I see. They see like, oh, Spence should fight Boots more from the Crawford side than I see vice versa.
Crawford fans are legitimately worried about Boots. Okay, I understand Boots is that dude, but why he undercard if you that guy, even if you are fighting a no name, you get good slots by your promotion. T.O. was fighting on Heisman nights and shit coming up. Well, T.O. was fighting on the cards that his promoter was promoting. Boots isn't fighting on those cards. Cameron Duncan isn't throwing those cards. Al Heyman was throwing those cards. See how that works? A little different. Cobbs is zesty. He be looking like somebody auntie. Oh my god.
Yeah, man. Man, what's up with that nail polish, man? What's up with all that nail polish, man?
All that what?
Nail polish he be putting on.
Hey, bro. He been listen. He been out west too long. Okay. He been out of Philly for a while, so I can't. He been out there too long.
He lives in Vegas right now, right? He's in Vegas somewhere, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he might be. I don't know. He might be on the strip a little bit. I don't know.
He was wearing fishnet button ups, talking about some woo. Come on,
Man,
bro.
that dude was out there doing commentary, holding the video camera, holding up the ring card like a ring card girl. I'm like, what in the world is up with this guy, man?
You're killing me, Blair.
That's them Philly guys, man. That's how y'all bred, man.
Whoa. Stop that shit. Okay.
You would never catch.
We can't help if somebody goes someplace else. Then that's influence. He ain't even got a beard, but you want to call him a real Philly dude, man. Come on, don't do that, man. You see Cool Boy, Boots, everybody, we all have this. This is how you know if you're official Philly dude, man.
Oh man, I don't know. It's kind of strange in the water over there. If that's what you guys are breathing.
Where you from, Lennar?
I'm from Southern California, man.
You can't talk about people being zesty, Lennar. You can't talk.
What you mean?
Southern California.
We got some real hardcore. We got some real hardcore brothers over here, man.
Yeah, you do, and you also got some Blair Cobbs out there. You got a couple of them too. Honestly, I'm ready for Spence to go to 154 and Bud get these last 3 fights. Yeah, I feel you. I don't care if Bud versus Spence happens at 54 either. I just want to see the fight, man.
But the thing about Boots, man, the only thing, again, like they say, don't get too high on a prospect. And this is a quote from this guy I know. His name is Joseph Heron. He has a thing on YouTube. The only thing, again, with a prospect.
Tell him I said it. I said, I know Joseph Heron. Tell Joseph I said he's a hater.
He's a hater. Okay, for sure. But I just said, but don't get too high on the prospect until they get punched in the mouth, meaning can they take a shot? A good shot from somebody you can punch.
Can I ask you a question?
Go ahead.
Lipinets, when Boots gets happy, does he not get caught with a shot?
He does. No, but I'm saying talking about really clean, you know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to say he's
clean by Thomas Delorme before he knocked him out.
I'm talking about
and Sergey Lipinets. He ate him.
I know he did, but I'm saying it's different when you're in there with a high level opposition, somebody who can like really punch correctly with a right placement, like a Crawford or somebody like.
Oh, wait, Lennar, Jerome fast. So Joseph Heron said, "Don't get high on the prospect." First off, Boots isn't a prospect; he's a contender. That's first.
No, he wasn't saying that. He wasn't saying that to. No, he was just saying in general, not about Boots.
I'm make a point to you. They would say that you need to see if he can take a shot, right?
That's all. Yeah.
Well, last I checked, dudes like Meme Machine was rocking Bud shit.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah,
Meme Machine ain't no A-level fighter.
No, listen, no, I already know. I know Bud's chin is a little. It's average. It's average. A
little bit.
No, for sure. He's definitely. I mean, I never thought that Bud had a granite chin. I don't. That's why I think really in a pocket fight. That's why I think Spence beats him, assuming he's healthy, just because of the size difference. Spence's ability to fight in the pocket and still have defense, and Crawford's inability to have defense in the pocket. That's why I think his dog mentality is going to get him hurt. That's the reason why I favor Spence in that fight, assuming that he's healthy and also his ability to cut the ring off. So it's going to turn into a pocket fight anyways, that I believe, right? With those two mentalities. But I never said that. I never thought Crawford had he has other great skills. I just never thought Crawford had his chin was the best. His chin is average. I won't necessarily call it weak, but if Porter, look what Porter was doing to him. You know what I'm saying? You could tell his Porter shots was really affecting Bud. You agree or disagree?
My man Jerome Hall says if Spence is ready, then take that man for his word. He said after the accident he didn't want to tune up and went out and fought the best. Shit. I don't want to hear any excuses after that though. So
yeah. But what do you think?
Castillo Clayton sucker ass.
That's a good step up right there. Castillo Clayton. I thought he beat Lipinets.
Yeah, my man uppercuts a boxing nation. Heyman can convince Spence to fight them. I think he can, if that's what he wants. It was the Floyd Mosley
Yo,
fight. Yeah. Boots chin is 32. I agree.
yo,
Crawford
I
is a
think
technician, but Boots is a surgeon. I agree.
I think that fight that Contractual got, that kind of like surprised me. That they put him in that position because that would just make it a little bit more for him to wait on his title shot for the IBF, and because of that opens the door for Spence to have a fight against either Ugas, Thurman, or Crawford.
Who? Who?
Go,
No,
Jay.
I'm talking about with Spence, because since we got Contractual fighting, this weekend,
Mm-hmm.
that opens the door for Errol Spence to fight, either Ugas, Thurman, or Crawford.
Oh, yeah. But I don't think, and I'm gonna be honest, I don't think that a fighter is. I don't think Spencer's gonna fight Crawford next. I don't. I think that he's probably gonna want to test the eye, and he has been fairly inactive over the last couple of years. So I don't think it's gonna happen next. I do think it's gonna happen in 2022, but next necessarily, no, I don't think so. I don't think that would be the best move if you're a fighter and just say, okay, let me face, what everybody believes as the best or 1A, 1B, second best in the division, and let me face him after over a years of inactivity and the eye injury I'm not sure about. You know what I'm saying? Until I get in the ring with so I don't want to quite step up to the bud level yet. Let me go test it first. That's what I think, and let me shake off the rust.
All right, we got 5 minutes left. I'm gonna scroll through these comments, and then I'm gonna let y'all get y'all last word in.
Okay.
Dirty Red, Boots passes the eye test, but he has to get better competition. We won't know who he really is until then because lower tier guys stand no chance.
And his chin gets checked. Yeah.
Boots, my favorite fighter, and I'm a Brooklyn nigga. Boots counter punching windows. Yeah, it's bananas. That's definitely a New York saying, bananas. I see Boots winning his first belt after they become vacant and still having problems getting fights. I believe that to be true. My man Dante Hall, people always try and talk about the not tested stuff. That's most of the time when they don't want to give the guy a fight. You're 100% correct. 100%. They look, why is some I've been peeping your interview, Scrap, keep doing your thing. Bro, I appreciate you, man. Thanks for stopping by. JR go, and then Leonard go, and then we going to sign out. Thanks for joining us. We really appreciate it. Go ahead, Cook.
Yeah, big up YSM, man. Having this thing, like I was saying, man. People got to understand the business of boxing and why these fights don't happen is because it's all about business. So when you talk about, these guys supposedly ducking each other, that ain't what it is. You got to understand the business. Like I said, we in the information age, and y'all could go ahead and look up all this stuff and look at the numbers, and then try to see if a fight makes sense. If it don't make sense, then the fight ain't gonna happen. Just like Terence Crawford said, if the fight makes sense, then the fight will get made. But right now, it don't make sense. So we might as well just wait it out, see what happens here the first part of next year, and then if they feel like it's good enough to make that fight happen, and they got the numbers right, then the fight will happen. But outside of that, the fans could keep talking or whatever it is, and if you ain't, talking to these, not these fighters, but if you ain't talking to the promoters or whatnot, that'll tell you the real deal, then the fights that you want ain't gonna happen. So that's that.
Mm-hmm.
Leonard, sign it out.
All right. All right, man. It's been a pleasure, everybody. All you brothers on the panel, man. Shalom. Only real ones know about that one. But at the end of the day, man, I do want to see the best fight the best. So hopefully we can get champion versus champion. Hopefully Spence can get Ugas with the belt. WBA rules, you can get him because I want to see the best fight the best in boxing. So then he gets past Ugas, which I would favor him. Then I know he's probably gonna go straight into the Crawford fight. So with that being said, hopefully we see it. Um, I'm keeping my eyes out on Mr. Boots Ennis. I think that, he could probably, the only thing is, I think he can fight Virgil, but the only thing is, I don't think that because those are they're not prospects, but two young guys, so they don't want to put them against each other because, like, if one beats the other, their stock drops, right? because they're still kind of not up and comers, but you know what I'm trying to say. Still trying to establish themselves to be champions in welterweight in boxing. So with that with that being said, yeah, man, appreciate you, YSM. We'll see what happens, man, and yeah.
All right, I'm gonna say this to all Crawford and Spence fans: hold both fighters accountable, and then you'll get the fight. Put the pressure on them. Don't single out Spence. Don't single out Crawford. Both fighters have legitimate points. Both fighters have some wrongdoings. Bud needs to do whatever he can to make this fight if he really wants these fights. Spence, he's going to have to bend some. But yeah, stop bickering amongst yourselves. And let's get back to real boxing, bro. No fanboy. You can like both fighters. That's not illegal. You don't gotta hate on Spence to uplift Bud. You don't gotta hate on Bud to uplift Spence. If you believe one of them's going to win the fight, cool. But we're looking at two of the best fighters of this generation. Give them their props. But also remember, you're a boxing fan first and a fan of a fighter second. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. YSM Sports Media. We out.